We're going live. Hello, everybody.
Hi, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yes, it's bright this time.
It's
Leila.
quite good.
That's good.
Surprisingly, yeah. I don't look too tired.
So hello, everybody. Today we are live talking about how to improve your English conversation.
Now, we are English teachers and women, so we really do know what we're talking about.
That's very true, yes. I'm Sabrah.
I'm Leila.
And we're both English teachers from England. So this live is coming from the south of England.
It is.
The day before our Prince Harry is about to get married tomorrow.
He is. Yeah. He's taken, Sabrah. It's too late for you.
Well, I could always go to the wedding and be like, no.
Does anyone object?
He should be for me. Okay, so let's get started, guys. The conversation tips we're going to be talking about today. I will tell you now what the conversation tips will be. We're going to look at how to use small talk in conversation. So ways which you can introduce small talk, when it's useful, what it is. So we're going to be speaking a little bit about how important small talk is in conversations, particularly with British people.
Yeah, really
also
important.
with Americans as well, or any native English speaker. Then we're going to be looking at how to use question tags. Do you want to explain a bit more about that, Leila?
Yes, we're going to be looking at question tags, aren't we?
Very good. Nice introduction.
Okay, and I'll be explaining some of the grammar of question tags to make sure that you get them right. Because although they're a relatively simple, straightforward thing, you do have to note that we've got some rules. Yeah,
so we've got some grammar there for you in the second point we'll be looking at. Then the third point we're going to be looking at is how to use fixed phrases for giving your opinion and speaking about your life in conversations. So how to sort of make sure you have some key phrases which you can always say and feel confident about. Because it is quite difficult sometimes when you're speaking your second language to be able to say things, especially when you're at a lower level in a conversation with a few native speakers. That can be very hard.
And we want to avoid you using anything that's too formal in conversation, because this is, this is general conversation that you would have with a native speaker. So using moreover too much doesn't really work. No. And we'll be explaining that a little bit more.
That's right, yeah. And then we've got phrases for asking for repetition. So saying, for example,
could you say that again?
There you go. See? So phrases for repetition and checking if you've understood, how to check that you've understood or that you're following, which is actually very useful, because sometimes you don't want to say, excuse me, I didn't get that. That can be embarrassing. Yeah. So we're going to give you phrases how you can check if you're following and understanding. And the last thing we're going to be looking at, you can explain this one, Leila, it's utterances and interjections.
That's it. Okay. So making the right sounds to encourage somebody to keep talking, because part of having a good conversation is showing that you're listening and encouraging someone to share their opinions, what they're trying to say. You want to be responsive. You don't just want to sit there and go,
that's right. You want to be, oh, really? No way. Oh, okay.
I understand.
So we're going to be teaching you some of those today as well. So 5 points. Right, let's get started on the first one, guys. So we're going to be looking at learning. Where are we now? Where's my first one?
Sabrah's planned this. She's got the notes.
I have.
Isn't it topics for small talk? Or?
Yeah, topics for small talk. Let me get my list for this. Oh, where's it gone?
I want to ask them, what do you think is the number one thing that English people will start small talk about? So a conversation that's quite simple, and it will be short. It could be called short talk, really. Yeah. So the kind of thing that you would talk to somebody about if you're getting the lift with them, going up in the elevator.
Yeah, what do you think it is, guys? Comment now. What's the most popular topic?
English people
for small talk. Most popular.
Come on, someone's going to get it.
For small talk.
Rain.
Weather. Yes, it is the weather.
That is
filio and viraggio. Oh, very good. Yes. Excellent. Yes, it is the weather. So it's very common in England if you are just getting to know someone, or you're in the lift with somebody at work.
Just passing at work.
Yes, just things like that. You might say, oh, the weather's been so lovely, hasn't it? Yeah. It's a question tag as well, which we'll come on to. So the weather has been so lovely, hasn't it? Or, oh, isn't the weather awful?
Totally. It's terrible today. Yeah. Oh, what's it going to be like the weekend?
Yeah. These are the kind of
you would talk about the weather now, the weather, what we are expecting that week or the weekend.
Yes.
Very common. And it really is. I think I probably talk about the weather with somebody every day.
I really do. For example, today, a colleague of mine who I don't know very well came from London, and I hadn't seen him for a few weeks. And I said, oh, it's nice to see you here. Haven't you come to Bournemouth at the right time? Because we're having lovely weather.
We have. It's sunny,
so
actually.
It's easy. It's an easy way to start conversation.
Yeah.
It might not be popular in your countries, but in America, I believe it's very popular to talk about the weather as well. Yeah. But it's more of something that British people are very fascinated with.
We do tend to complain about the weather.
We do.
So, as you mentioned, rain. Oh, it's been pouring. It's raining. Oh, it's raining again. Or it gets hot. Oh, it's too hot. So it's either too hot, too cold, not hot enough.
Yeah, or it's lovely. We're really happy about it. Occasionally,
we're very good at moaning about it.
We are good at complaining
I think
about
that's
the weather.
A bit traditional.
It's true, yeah. Okay, other kind of popular small talk topics can be what you did the previous evening.
Yeah.
So if you're getting to know another person at work, and they might be American or British, and you want to be able to talk to them, you can always ask them what they did the previous evening.
Yeah.
So you can say, oh, what did you get up to last night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you have a nice evening?
Or the previous weekend. So if it's a Monday, how was your weekend? Did you do anything nice? Those are very common topic areas.
And the phrase would be, did you have a nice evening? How was your evening?
Yeah,
how was your weekend? Yeah. What did you do? And if you want to be kind of more relaxed, you can say, oh, what did you get up to? What did you get up to? Okay. Up to in English often means what have you done?
Yes,
yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Up can mean an activity. So what have you been doing? What's up, for example, means what's going on. So yes, those are a popular one. Other ones, guys, for getting to know a person, particularly in work situations, can be to ask about family or where they're from. So family or where they're from. So if I'm getting to know a colleague at work, and I'm imagining, guys, that some of you are perhaps wanting to have small talk with native speakers or people who speak in English at work, perhaps.
Or university, where you're studying.
Or at college, things like that. So native speakers will often respond to questions about where they're from. So they might want to talk about their country. Yeah. So you can say, oh, what part of England are you from? Or, oh, what part of the States are you from? What's it like there? So you can sort of start easy conversation.
Yeah,
with
and obviously,
that.
if you know the area that they come from, then you'd say, "Oh, yes, I've been there. I like the beach there," or "I've got an aunt there or a cousin." And so you try and make. I think with
small connections.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the important thing, is relating to people, and that's a very good way to actually start forming friendships as well, making those connections.
Yeah, definitely.
Finding similarities.
Yeah. So I might say, oh, have you got family there? To try and find out if they've got family back home and things like that. Important point to say, guys, is you don't want to start asking them lots of questions. It's supposed to be a two-way conversation. So you don't want to be like a police officer saying, are you married? Where are you from? What's your ID number?
Absolutely.
It's much more relaxed like that. The idea, as Leila was saying, is that you're making connections.
So you have to share something that you feel comfortable with. And these are the kind of things that we would share. I'm married, or I've got 2 children. I'm from the south. I'm from the north. Yeah. These are acceptable limits of conversation.
Definitely,
rather than asking anything too personal. That's why it's called small talk, not serious talk.
And if you're and if you're worried about making small talk with somebody you don't know very well, who might be a native speaker or be very good at English, learn some fixed phrases that you can always be confident that you know how to say well, like how's the weather been, or the weather's been very nice lately, or the weather's not been so good recently. Whereabouts are you from the States, for example? So these fixed phrases that will help you, and you'll feel confident about them.
What we can do at the end of this lesson, because this is live, is we'll type up some nice fixed phrases for you in the description box.
In the description box.
So you can come back, watch this lesson again, and have a look at those fixed phrases and try and use them next time in conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Right, moving on to number 2. This is on question tags. So Leila, I'm going to pass over to you for a minute on question tags.
Yeah.
Leila is the grammar queen. She's
yes.
Excellent.
I should have my crown.
Grammar. Yeah. Please, guys, in the comments, if we're speaking too fast, say to us, Leila, Sabrah, slow down, because it's easy for us to speak more quickly. We're used to doing that.
When we're together, it's very difficult. We forget that you're here.
Yeah.
And we start talking like we would normally talk. Speed of sound.
It's also useful for you to see natural English conversations, but we know that we want you to be able to follow. So please say slow down.
Okay. So question tags are a great way of checking that you've understood something, or that somebody else has understood something, confirming things, really. So you have to pay attention to the main verb in the sentence. So, for example, you would say a sentence in the affirmative, we are going out, and then the question tag would be,
aren't we?
And the negative, there we go. Yeah. And in the same way that if the sentence was in the negative, we can't go out.
Can we?
It would be in the positive.
That's right. It's a very good way to explain, Leila. Now, you must pay attention that it is the auxiliary verb that we make the question tag with. So, for example, we might say, you haven't had dinner, have you? So we use have. It's the auxiliary verb that is formed to make the question tag.
Absolutely.
Okay, you haven't had dinner, have you? You're coming to the party, aren't you? Again, verb to be there, are would be used because it's the auxiliary verb, not come, to make that question tag.
Yeah.
You're coming to the party tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I am. I am. But Sabrah explained that very well. So depending on the tense, you're going to have different kinds of auxiliary verbs. So if it's present simple or past simple, the auxiliary verb will be do or did.
Yeah.
If it's a modal verb that can or must, would, then that would be the auxiliary verb.
You'd like to go to India, wouldn't you?
There we go.
For example.
Perfect. Exactly the same as well with the present perfect.
Yeah.
We haven't seen you, have we? That's it. Actually, the grammar's not that complicated.
They are so useful, guys. We use them all the time in conversation. I'll say to Leila, oh, you've done this before, haven't you?
I'll be like, yeah, definitely.
Or you like that, didn't you? You know, it's checking, it's confirming really that you're right about something, but it's also a great way to get someone to reply to you.
Yes.
So if you say, oh, the weather's been lovely, hasn't it? For
and then
example,
someone will say,
yes. Oh, yeah, it has. So it's a great way of encouraging them to communicate back to you because you're checking, it's a question. So they are question tags. They are super useful. So remember, it's either negative and positive or positive and negative. Yeah, you wouldn't have
just remember that
together. Yeah. Okay. We can also write some examples for you in the comments box.
I think we will. We'll put a few. I think it's nice because there's not titles on the live.
Yeah.
That we'll put subtitles at the end, but it's nice also for you to check in the description.
Oh, someone's put you're the best, aren't you? Oh, thank you.
Good grammar.
Very good grammar. Very good. Okay, moving on to our next point, guys.
I think we should just mention that it should be contracted.
Oh, yeah.
Because Sultanov has put, you are the best, are not you. It should be aren't you. So you need to contract. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
See, when you write and respond to us, it helps us explain. You're helping.
Yeah. So sometimes, so practice some easy ones, guys, like asking about nationality. You're Spanish, aren't you?
Not are not you.
Yeah.
Contractions. We can go out. Can't we? Not, can't not we.
You aren't 30, Leila, are you?
No, 21.
So it's things like that, guys. Practice easy ones. Again, we'll put some links where you can practice that grammar, but they are such a useful grammar structure to have, and they'll be something easy they can use in conversation, okay? So moving on to the next one, guys. This is learning fixed phrases to express your opinion and to talk about your life.
And we are talking about more informal expressions. So any of you that have done IELTS will have learnt, in my opinion, and moreover, and things like this that actually in general day-to-day conversation we really don't use. You would use stuff like that in presentations or seminars.
For general conversation, we can say, in my opinion, you might say, oh, in my opinion.
Well, or we could say, I would say, I think more, I believe, or I feel.
Yeah.
In my opinion sounds more.
You can say it sometimes. Definitely if in the workplace, you would say it.
Work,
I think if you want to be more formal, you can say from my perspective.
That's a nice one.
Yeah,
that's
from
a really
my
nice
perspective. You can say personally speaking. Personally speaking. And I do use this one in more, I wouldn't necessarily use it with you, but I'd probably use it with like my family, a family dinner. I might say, oh, personally speaking, I think that, and you know, talking about something formal.
Work conversation, something more related to work.
Definitely, But when we're generally expressing our opinion, we often say things like, I reckon.
I reckon.
Very common one. I
really?
Reckon.
It's very informal. It's a colloquial expression.
Yeah.
And it just means I think, I reckon.
Yeah.
So that's great. Try and use that. Instead of saying I think next time, say I reckon.
I reckon. Because it's very easy to say I think, and it gets a bit boring. You can say I reckon, or as Leila was saying, I believe, or I feel. So these are good ways to express your opinion. And once you start to be able to use these, they're going to really kind of make you feel more comfortable in conversation.
Yes.
I remember when I was learning Italian, I learned to say secondo me. Secondo me. And that means in my opinion, and it was really useful. And I started to hear other people saying it. And I was like, I know this phrase, I can use it. You know, I can add that to my fixed phrases that I know I can use in conversation.
Yeah.
So personally speaking, I reckon from my perspective,
you could also kind of soften it as well, because obviously sometimes when you're giving your opinion, you don't want to seem too strong. So you could say, you know, I kind of think. So saying kinda.
That's very true.
It's softer. So especially if you're disagreeing with someone, you know, in a friendly situation.
Yeah.
You don't want to say, well, in my opinion, it can seem a bit hard, a bit strong.
Yeah. I kind of think. I kind of reckon. Yeah, that's very true. The other thing, guys, about learning fixed phrases, and again, when I was learning Spanish and Italian, I found this really useful. I learned phrases about my life and myself that I could say, and I was really confident about. And then I knew, right, if I've got to go to that party, I know I can say where I'm from in England. I can describe the region. I can talk about my favorite things about Spain. I can talk about...
I can ask for a glass of wine in Italian.
Yeah, fixed phrases, which you know are really good for starting up a conversation with somebody. Now, think about your phrases. What do you want to say if you're coming to England, or if you're going to go and work in an English-speaking environment? What are your phrases that you want to learn to be able to say in a conversation with a native speaker or somebody who's very good at English?
It gives you a lot more confidence, as Sabrah was saying, because when you do learn the fixed expression, you don't start worrying about the grammar. You would have practiced the pronunciation a little bit. And certainly at lower levels, that's really how you learn. That's how I've been learning Italian. I'm not too bothered about the grammar, actually, at the moment. I just try and learn the phrases that I need. Posso avere un biglietti, due biglietti, something like that. But I've done it before, I have. But I'll just learn the expressions and the phrases.
That's what I do as well. And I think it's really useful, guys. And, you know, you can feel nervous when trying to start conversations with native speakers. So practicing those fixed phrases, those mini stories about yourself and your life that you can easily produce is really going to help you. And you can add in some of those phrases like personally speaking and things like that. Another thing is also to add in some linking words. I think it's quite helpful for being able to make your conversation a little bit more natural. So we do use, however, in spoken conversation.
Yes, you can.
We use although in spoken conversation. So instead of saying but all the time, you can add in however, or you could add in although, or you can add in things like to my mind, things like that. So these are just things that might extend your vocabulary in spoken English when you're having a conversation.
And you're building then, by using those linking words, you'll be building and connecting your sentences together. So it's perfect.
Great. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is very useful. And this is about learning phrases for checking that you've understood and for asking for repetition.
So what you're saying is we're going to get them to be able to check what someone said.
That's it, Leila. Do you want to go ahead and explain a little bit?
Yeah, so obviously sometimes you are not going to understand everything a native speaker says. And even we might just check with each other sometimes. If we didn't, we weren't paying attention. Sometimes I don't pay attention. Or if someone was speaking a little bit too fast. Or even I've been on the telephone with some people with accents and I've said, sorry, could you just repeat that? Because I couldn't catch what they were saying. I couldn't understand what they were saying. So there's no shame in asking someone to repeat themselves, to clarify something. And actually it's much better to do this than continue the conversation on what you think they might have said, and you could be completely talking in different directions.
Definitely.
It can get very confusing.
Absolutely.
And certainly in exam situations, we always encourage our students, if you didn't understand the question, ask them to repeat it, rephrase it back at them. That's a great way as well of checking.
So rephrase it back to see if you got it correct. So we're meeting at 7. That's right, isn't it? Question tag as well. So some key phrases that are really good are, sorry, I didn't catch that. You can also say, you mentioned that, like to check that you were following. So, oh, you mentioned that your mother isn't very well. Here, this is like a way to check. Did I understand? Yeah. Did I catch it? And you don't have to say, please, can you repeat it for me? What you don't want to say, guys, is very formal. I'm so sorry, I didn't catch that. Please, could you repeat it? You don't need to say all that
Not
in a relaxed
this
conversation.
context,
You can
no.
just say, oh, sorry, could you just say that again? Could you just say that again? I'm not quite sure I got it.
Yeah.
Could
Or
you-
do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Do you mean that? So just checking again, I think.
Yeah.
And don't be scared as well to ask someone to slow down when they're speaking. Just say, oh, sorry, could you slow down a little bit? Or could you repeat what you just said? Don't be scared to do that.
You can make a joke of it. Whoa, slow down. I'm still learning. Help me out.
Native, if any of you have visited the UK, and maybe Americans do this as well, sometimes they think that you're deaf. So that rather than talk slower, they just talk louder and like this.
I think you can't hear.
So that can be very frustrating. Explain that they need to speak slower, not louder.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't catch that. Do you mind repeating that? Did you mean you mentioned that? What were some of the other ones, Leila, we looked at?
I didn't catch what you said. Could you
go over that again?
Could you go over that?
Could you go over that again? So say it again for me. Rephrase it back to them. So you're saying that. Blah, 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 for example.
With question tags even.
Yeah, so they are very, very useful. Don't be ashamed, as Leila was saying. Yeah. Okay, moving on. I think we're nearly at our last point.
Good.
Yes,
Maybe you can ask some questions then.
Yeah, and then you can ask some questions, guys. Are you kidding? Aren't you? Somebody's put. Okay.
You are kidding. It needs to be, rather than a question, it needs to be a statement.
You are kidding, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
You are kidding, aren't you?
So they're always statements.
We're not kidding, guys.
And and the question is the question tag. That makes it a question.
Yeah, definitely. Right, next one. Interjections, and utterances.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of native speakers will throw a lot of interjections and utterances into conversation. And what is interesting is that these interjections are different in different countries and in different languages. So in English, it's more,
really?
Yeah. But in Asian countries, it's more, That's more your interjection, but we don't say things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So learning the more natural British way and the American way as well will help you. And also little words. So, oh, really? No way.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Are you serious? We could keep doing this.
We could keep going.
But it also shows that you are invested in the conversation. You are interested, you are listening, and you are reacting. Because if you think about it, any good conversation that you've had, Sabrah's doing it now. She's nodding, body language.
I do a lot of that, yeah.
Yeah. But you want to know that someone's actually listening and responding.
Listen, I'm always doing it. I'm such a good listener.
It's also very important on the telephone as well, because of course you've got no body language on the telephone. Although most people nowadays, you've got FaceTime and Skype and WhatsApp video. But I think if you're on the phone, you've got no facial expressions. You don't know if someone's listening unless they're kind of, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, is that right? Yeah, these are the ones we use a lot. So we'll go through them again. Is that right? Oh, okay.
Really? Sure.
No way. No way is I'm surprised. No way. Did he really? Things like that. Yeah. So short things. In English, in England, we're also very positive usually about people, about stories we hear about people's news. We often will be very kind of generous in our responses,
even if it's boring.
Yeah, so say, "Oh, great! Oh, that's brilliant! Oh, great news!
Oh, it was your cat's birthday! Oh, we're very polite.
We are very, very polite in England. So learning these little things to be able to add into the conversation is going to help you. Just bear in mind that if you are speaking in English and still using the sounds and some of the interjections from your language, you're going to sound a little bit strange. So I tell a lot of my students, my Asian students, don't say because they say like this to me. And this sounds very Asian. Just as, for example, in Spanish, you often will say
yeah.
We don't say that. Ours is
It would sound really strange.
It would sound really strange. Yeah, so it does. Yeah. So just try to stop that habit when you're speaking in English and try and say, Just try and use more of the English sounds.
I think actually when you're watching English TV next time, pay attention to those fillers, the things that come between the words, and make a note. What do you hear? What sounds? You will notice that what Sabrah and I have told you is probably what you will hear.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, you can also watch my lesson on 25 conversation phrases. I looked at things like, for example, will do, by the way, I reckon, cheesy. I looked at lots of very common phrases that we use in everyday conversation. So go and watch that video. I'll put a link to it at the end.
Yeah.
But now we can answer some questions.
Yeah.
So if you would like to ask us some questions now, we are ready.
They don't understand CNN news. That's why you should watch the BBC instead.
I understand you, but don't understand CNN news.
Oh, Ramadan Mubarak.
Oh yes, Ramadan Mubarak, guys. So CNN news. Well, I think one of the problems why you might find it difficult to understand the news is that news vocabulary is very specific.
Yeah.
And also they'll use a lot of the passive tense. For example, they'll be talking about things having happened to people. So victims having experienced crime. For example,
a woman has been murdered.
Exactly, yeah. So I think this school has been robbed, for
example. It is very specific. When you start talking about, well, what's in the news? It's going to be politics, economics. I mean, these are really specific
subjects. Yeah. Even crime, you know, they might start talking about solicitors, law.
You can rob, you can burgle.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Pickpocket, shoplift, you know. Crime vocabulary is very big.
Vocabulary is something that when I was teaching English all the time, I'd spend a couple of weeks on crime vocabulary.
Easily.
So that might be one of the reasons why you don't understand some of CNN and why you understand us.
Put the subtitles on and see if it is the vocab. They will, of course, speak a little bit faster. Sabrah and I do try and slow down our speech slightly, but not too much, because it is important that you listen to natural English.
Yeah.
So you'll find that they're speaking at a fast rate, and they've also, you know, they've got to keep to time, guys. So they've got a very short amount of time to get out the news, to say what they need to.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's take some questions. What is it about the monarch wedding? Oh, Prince Harry's wedding.
We're not watching it. We're going to a spa tomorrow.
Congratulations to him. Yeah. Wish them all the best.
They're great, but there's a lot of news about that at the moment.
It's been very, very dominant in the news.
The royal family are very, very popular. And actually, we could say that things in the news would be small talk, really.
Yeah, all things in the news are small talk conversations.
Yeah.
Can you believe Prince Harry's getting married tomorrow?
Did you see what happened in the news the other day with Meghan's dad and all?
Yeah,
you know.
Can you believe they haven't found that the killer? Gonna be things like that.
Yeah, did you hear what happened? Yeah, that kind. So news could be small talk as well.
News is definitely small talk. Yeah.
Careful with politics, though.
What's the difference between slang and idioms? Can you make a video about them? Slang and idioms are quite different. Occasionally idioms can be slang.
Yeah.
An idiom is a metaphor. So an idiom is when something stands for something else. So it's not literal at all.
It's raining cats and dogs. You're never going to see cats and dogs falling from the sky.
Yeah.
It means to rain. But it's chucking it down is slang. Okay. Because it's quite an informal way to say that it's raining, but it doesn't mean something else.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, we might say pigs might fly, means something will never happen. Pigs might fly, that's an idiom. But slang might be, nah, never going to happen, or
that's crap.
Yeah, that's crap. That's crap means that's rubbish. Or not good. Yeah, a bit ruder. Can you make a video about interviews? Yes, we have made a video which is coming out next week.
It's really cool. We filmed it the weekend and it looks really good and it's funny. So we have got got a lesson about job interviews coming very soon, and it's also a collaboration. So you'll have another. So
we've got another YouTube teacher who is going to be in our video that's coming out.
We're not telling you.
We're not telling you who. But that is all about key phrases to use in interviews, interview techniques, tips, what to say in an interview that would be conducted in English. So yeah, hopefully very useful. Okay.
What else we got?
So well, you both replied to me for the question I posted already. What's the question? Aaron, could you ask us the question? We can't see it now.
No, we can't. What's the difference between
hobby and career? Hop and career.
Hop is what a rabbit does. If you're talking about
means hobby and career.
Career is what you do for money to have a job. So a career means that you've got so for example, lawyer, teacher. It's something that usually you can progress in. But a hobby would just be for fun. Unless she means job, I don't know, because job is more standard. I mean,
job and career.
Job is maybe more, maybe less professional, potentially.
Job is like your day-to-day job. So you might have a job working in Starbucks, but your career might be that eventually you want to own a coffee shop. So career is usually more long-term, like you have a career as a lawyer, for example, and you want to progress usually with a career. Career suggests a longer time.
Stay in the same job.
That's right. Okay, I saw a really good question about intonation. So intonation is a difficult thing, and it will really help you in conversation if you can start to improve your intonation. Now, speakers from Asian countries and Spanish speakers tend to have more flatter intonation, whereas an Italian has very, very strong intonation, and a Brazilian, so a Portuguese speaker, will have very up and down intonation. Yeah. So English intonation is something that is difficult to kind of get, but you have to copy and you have to listen to phrases and where we go up and where we go down. Yeah. We tend to go up, obviously, more in questions. In statements, we tend to go down. For emphasis, we go down. For shock, we tend to go up. Yeah. And
I think one of the tricks, I've got a lesson on this that I can put a link to in the description, or a card. I'll put a card now when you watch it again, is the fact that you can just change your intonation by changing your posture and your facial expressions.
Oh, that's a good point, Leila.
So when something is quite serious, you know, you talk like this and you go down a little bit more. But, you know, when things is a bit more happy and exciting, then you're smiling and your body, your posture's different. True. And your voice changes and goes up. Yeah. So try just simple tricks like that. There's obviously more to it than that, but you know, that can just start you off on the right step.
And listen to the pronunciation and intonation of politicians when they speak, where they put emphasis, where they go really down, where they go really up, and that can really help you to see how an English person kind of paces their speech and where they really want to put emphasis.
And another thing you could do, which is a bit strange, but you could try it, is speak without saying any words. So, how are you today? How are you today?
You usually go up,
and it's really bizarre, but it will get you thinking about.
Can you believe she got the job? Can you believe she got the job? Going up, we're surprised. Can you believe she got the job?
And we do use that. You can use your hands as well, just to follow the intonation.
Yeah, do try and not be too flat. We both examine students in their final exams before they go to university. And what I find in the speaking exam, and I know you do too, is there's a lot of flat intonation. So the answer to number 1 is, I think that this is a very good idea. It's very flat.
Boring.
And I think the reason is you're thinking about so many other things: your grammar, your pronunciation, your vocabulary, or answering the question, that you forget your intonation. And maybe your intonation in your own language is very different. So just try and think, no, smile, as Leila was saying, add in a bit more up and down.
But if someone's telling you something sad, don't smile. Go, oh, really?
No, that's true.
Your cat died? That's terrible. You know, oh no, really?
Yeah.
It works.
True. Okay, I think we've got time for 2 more questions. 2 more.
2. Sabrah, then I'll answer one.
Okay. Someone is saying he speaks like a Terminator.
Worked for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
To go up and down more. I think you're from. I think that person.
How to kill my shyness.
To kill my shyness when I talk to someone about to understand what I hear in English, but I cannot talk because of my shyness. Aww.
I'm actually going to be doing a lesson very soon on building your confidence when speaking English. I think that's a very good question.
So and might want to say the question, because we didn't say what it was. All of them.
How to build your confidence when you're speaking English. And I tell you what, I'll let you in on one of my tips that's going to come up in the next video, and that is to read out loud. Okay, so get a book in English or a magazine or a newspaper and actually read it, because by doing that, you're practicing your pronunciation and you're building up your voice, because it is hard. It's hard when you're speaking any second language, third language. So try that. Try getting a book or reading something, and also you could record yourself at the same time.
Yeah, someone was saying there they record themselves. Yeah, that's very good. I think when you're shy, it is difficult to start speaking with a native speaker, but as we said in this lesson, Learn fixed phrases that you feel confident, that you know you could have practiced them, you could have recorded them, you could feel these phrases, I know I can say really well. And use those at the beginning, and don't be ashamed to ask if you haven't understood. Okay, so please check back with the person and say, I didn't catch that. Can you help me? Find somebody to practice with so you can start, who's about your level, so you can build your confidence with them. You know, really starting to have a speaking buddy, someone that you regularly practice your speaking with, is really going to help you so much. So doing that as well. But don't be shy, guys, because everyone's been a learner, and, you know, eventually you're going to get better, but what you need is practice.
And you can't correct your mistakes if you don't make them. Yeah.
Leila is more shy than me in a second language, but you use those fixed phrases.
I really do. I cling to those fixed phrases. And then people go, oh, your Italian is improving. It's like, yeah, not so much. I just really remembered that phrase.
Okay, right. You'd want to choose the last question?
Are you single? No. You wasted the question. You could have asked something in English. We are not single. Okay. Shadowing videos. Shadowing videos?
Shadowing videos, not sure.
Where we speak and they repeat.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
Okay, that is a really good idea. Idea.
Hopefully, guys, you can watch this back and you can copy some of those fixed phrases we taught you for repetition, for small talk.
We'll write them in the description
tags.
Today. Yeah. Check back later. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And academic. Okay. Because of my English is stressful. Yeah. Practice your English speaking. Find somebody who is the same level as you if you can. There's lots of people.
Higher, it helps.
Yeah, there's lots of people online on chat groups and things that want to practice their English. So maybe you can have a Skype chat with them every week.
Be careful what information you give to people, though.
Of course.
Don't know who's online.
Yeah, of course. If you know somebody in your local area, in your school, in your college, that is much, much better. Okay, I have been studying English for a long time. I felt lost with my speaking. My grammar has improved first. Do you recommend focus my study only on my speaking?
You need both, but I do think that with, particularly with like Chinese students, their grammar can be excellent, but their speaking is just really weak. But what you find is when
let's tell them the question we're answering. So this person has asked us that they feel their grammar has improved, but should they just focus on their speaking because they feel they're not moving forward with their English, just so everybody knows.
So as I was saying, with grammar, if you have got a good foundation in grammar, that's great, but you do need to start speaking. But what I find that students that have a good foundation in grammar, they can improve quite quickly with their speaking. But what you can do is maybe focus on one specific structure, so whether it's present perfect, and try using it when you speak. So go by section, by grammar point. So present perfect. Have you ever? Have you been to? Just.
Yeah, that's really good.
And focusing on that and using that one specific grammar point will help build your speaking up in the same way.
Yeah, you do definitely need both. You can't just have the grammar, because then when you go to speak, your pronunciation, your intonation, your vocabulary are going to not be on the same level. So you do need both. You need them all. I would recommend that you start to practice speaking as soon as you can. I think it's one of the best ways to learn a language is to speak it. You cannot just do exercises in a book with grammar and learn the vocabulary without saying it. Language is a spoken thing, so you need to start speaking. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Right. I think that is all. It's Friday, and Leila and I are a little bit tired after our long week at work.
We have had a long week.
So we are going to go and relax. And tomorrow we're going to relax together in a spa.
Yes.
We deserve it. We do.
If you want to hear about our spa adventure, then make sure that you go to our Insta stories, Instagram. We'll post some funny pictures there.
Are you connected with us on Instagram, guys? It's love_, so dash,
a little line,
English, little line, UK, Love English UK.
And you'll
find us on Instagram, and we are also on Facebook as Love English with Leila and Sabrah. So lovely to have so many lovely students joining us for this live lesson. So thank you for being with us. We will write up this lesson underneath in the description box, some of those phrases and all the things we talked about. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't.
And share this lesson, of course. If you found it useful, maybe some of your friends might want to learn a bit more about having conversations in English.
Yeah, and look out for our video next week on interviews. And we've got one coming on confidence. So confidence
very soon.
And interviews.
Okay.
Take care, all of you. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.